Terragrunt. Keep your terraform. Do not repeat yourself. Right. Agenda. Multi-environment infrastructure. Terragrunt history. Why Terragrunt? Apply life cycle. Getting started. Basic workflow. Modules and dependencies. Multi-environment infrastructure. Most teams run the same infrastructure, a VPC, a database, a cluster, repeated across development, staging, and production environments. If one environment needs a fix, ideally that fix should apply the same way everywhere it's needed, not just the one place someone remembered to update. Almost every team using Terraform at scale ends up managing dozens of nearly identical environments and modules. Any team maintaining infrastructure across many accounts or regions needs a way to avoid rewriting the same configuration repeatedly. Copy-pasting the same backend, provider, and module blocks into every environment doesn't scale. Repeat it and do not repeat yourself. Terraform configuration. Repeated configuration means each environment has its own full copy of backend, provider, and module blocks edited independently. Terragrunt keeps configuration dry. Do not repeat yourself. Generating that repeated boilerplate from one shared source instead of duplicating it everywhere. Repeated, copy-pasted main.tf per environment backend, edited independently. Do not repeat yourself. Try Terragrunt. One root terragrunt.hcl #of configuration language.hcl inherited everywhere. Small per environment overrides. Problems with repeated configuration. Single point of failure. A bug fixed in one environment's copy-pasted config is easy to forget in the others. Backend and provider blocks are duplicated dozens of times across environments and modules. Upgrading a Terraform version or provider means editing every environment's files individually. Hard to enforce consistent remote state and locking configuration across a growing number of modules. Applying changes to many interdependent modules in the right order becomes a manual error-prone process. Misses out on a single don't repeat yourself source of truth for configuration shared across environments. The Terragrunt system. A root terragrunt.hcl declares shared configuration, remote state, provider generation, common inputs, once. Child terragrunt.hcl files include that root configuration and layer on environment-specific inputs. Terragrunt generates the backend and provider blocks Terraform needs, then runs Terraform underneath as normal. Other tools in the same space: TerraSpace, TerraMate, Terraform workspaces built in. Terragrunt advantages: keeps backend, provider, and common configuration. Do not repeat yourself. Try across every environment. Automatically manages remote state. generating consistent backend configuration everywhere it's used. Understands dependencies between modules, applying them in the correct order automatically. Run all commands operate across an entire tree of modules with one invocation. Makes adding a new environment as simple as copying a small folder of environment-specific inputs. Works as a thin wrapper, so all of Terraform's own features and providers still apply. Everything is inherited, almost. One huge benefit is that in Terragrunt, almost every child configuration inherits from a shared parent instead of repeating it. An include block pulls in a parent Terragrunt.html settings, merging them with the child's own inputs. Common values like a naming convention or a region are defined once and referenced everywhere. Overriding just one setting in a specific environment does not require duplicating everything else. This inheritance model is the main reason Terragrunt configurations stay small even as the number of environments grows. Remote state and dependencies. Remote state generates a consistent backend configuration for every module. Dependency reads another module's outputs as this module's inputs. Root Terragrunt.html. The root configuration generates a shared backend for every environment that includes it. Child Terragrunt.html. A child configuration includes the root settings and adds its own module and inputs. History created by Gruntwork, a company focused on Terraform tooling and infrastructure best practices. First released in 2016 to solve the do not repeat yourself, try and remote state pain points Gruntwork saw repeatedly across client engagements. Built specifically as a thin wrapper, deliberately avoiding replacing or forking Terraform itself. Steadily added dependency management and run all commands as multi-module. Multi-environment setups became more common. Remains a widely used companion to Terraform for teams managing many environments and accounts. Why Terragrunt? Don't repeat yourself configuration. Shared settings live in one place, not copied into every environment. Automated remote state. Consistent backend and locking configuration generated everywhere. Dependency aware. Applies modules in the correct order automatically. Scales cleanly. Adding an environment is copying a small folder, not a full configuration. Thin wrapper. Every Terraform feature, provider, and version still works as expected. Backed by an active open source community and long-standing production use. The Terragrunt.hcl file. Terragrunt.hcl is the configuration file Terragrunt reads instead of a plain Terraform file. Include blocks pull in a parent configuration. Inputs blocks pass values into the underlying module. Generate blocks let Terragrunt write out backend.tf or provider.tf files automatically. Never hand edit the generated.tf files. Use the Terragrunt.hcl that produces them instead. Terragrunt apply lifecycle. Merge includes read config, write backend.tf, generate, terraform init, terraform apply, Terragrunt reads and merges included configuration, generates backend and provider files, runs Terraform init, and finally applies the change. Getting started with Terragrunt. This leads us to the three commands that get an environment deployed. Terragrunt init, generate backend config, and run Terraform init underneath. Terragrunt plan, show what would change for this environment. Terragrunt apply the changes to this environment. Basic workflow. Author a Terragrunt file, assess its application, maintain it, optimize the infrastructure deployment application. Planning, applying and running all. Some call plan, apply and run all Terragrunt's everyday loop. Declarative. The same inheritance model applies whether you have 3 environments or 30. Terragrunt run all plan previews changes across an entire tree of modules at once. Dependency ordering means run all apply always applies modules in the right sequence. Adding a new environment is copying a small folder and adjusting a few inputs. Supports many workflows, multi-account AWS setups, multi-account Azure setups, multi-account GCP setups, multi-region deployments, platform teams. Works the same across any provider or module Terraform itself supports. Any questions? Thank you.